Picture this. It's May 2009, and the world watches in stunned silence as Barcelona dismantles Manchester United 2-0 in Rome to win the Champions League. The football on display isn't just beautiful, it's from another planet. Short passes ripple across the pitch like water. Opponents chase shadows, and every movement seems choreographed by an invisible maestro. This wasn't luck, this was revolution. What Pep Guardiola's Barcelona demonstrated that night in the Stadio Olimpico was the culmination of decades of tactical evolution, a lineage that traces back through Johan Cruyff's visionary total football, runs parallel to Jose Mourinho's tactical mastery and Alex Ferguson's relentless winning machine, and finds its counterpoint in Carlo Ancelotti's philosophy of freedom. These 5 managers didn't just win trophies, they fundamentally altered how the beautiful game is played, coached, and understood. They are the revolutionary minds who transformed football from a simple sport into a complex chess match played at lightning speed, where tactics, psychology, and philosophy converge to create moments of pure sporting magic. Before there was tiki-taka, before there was gegenpressing, before modern football as we know it existed, there was Johan Cruyff, and he saw the future. The Dutch master didn't invent total football. That credit belongs to his mentor, Rinus Michels, at Ajax in the late 1960s. But Cruyff perfected it, lived it, breathed it, and then exported it to Barcelona, where it would become the club's identity for generations. Total football was revolutionary because it demolished the rigid positional structures that had governed football since its inception. In Cruyff's vision, any outfield player could take over the role of any other player seamlessly, with teammates instantly filling vacated positions. This wasn't chaos, it was organized fluidity built on exceptional technical ability, tactical intelligence, and an almost telepathic understanding between players. When Cruyff became Barcelona manager in 1988, he arrived at a club that hadn't won La Liga in 14 years and was mired in political turmoil. What he built became known as the Dream Team, a side that won 4 consecutive league titles from 1991 to 1994 and captured Barcelona's first European Cup in 1992. His tactical blueprint relied on a 3-4-3 or 4-3-3 that emphasized maintaining a compact block, constant positional interchange, and relentless ball movement. Cruyff understood that possession wasn't about keeping the ball for statistics. It was moving it purposefully to create imbalances in the opposition's shape. He wanted his teams to expand the playing space when attacking and contract it when defending, maximizing their control of the game's tempo and territory. Perhaps Cruyff's most lasting innovation was his commitment to youth development and technical excellence over physical attributes. He revolutionized La Masia, Barcelona's youth academy, ensuring that every team from under-8s to the senior squad played the same way. He famously preferred short lads who pampered the ball with their touch over tall, physically imposing players, trusting technical ability and intelligence would triumph over brute strength. This philosophy produced a generation of players, including Pep Guardiola, who would carry Cruyff's torch into the 21st century. Cruyff also pioneered the concept of the false 9, deploying Michael Laudrup in a free center-forward role where he would drop deep into midfield, disorienting defenders and creating space for others to exploit. This tactical innovation would later become integral to Guardiola's Barcelona, with Messi devastating opponents from the same position. Cruyff's influence extended beyond tactics to philosophy. He believed football should be attacking, attractive, and intelligent. Playing football is simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is. His legacy lives not just in trophies, but in a way of thinking about the game that prioritizes creativity, technical excellence, and collective intelligence, principles that continue to shape Barcelona and Dutch football today. When Pep Guardiola took over Barcelona in 2008, at just 38 years old, many questioned whether the untested former player could handle the pressure. 4 years and 14 trophies later, including 2 Champions League titles and 3 La Liga championships, the debate was settled.
Guardiola hadn't just succeeded, he had created arguably the greatest club team in football history and revolutionized the sport with a tactical system so dominant it forced every coach in the world to adapt or become obsolete. At the heart of Guardiola's revolution was positional play, an evolution of Cruyff's total football principles taken to an obsessive level of detail. Guardiola divided the pitch into zones and required players to occupy specific spaces to create superiority in numbers and passing angles. This wasn't rigid positioning, players constantly rotated, but the spatial structure remained intact, ensuring the team always had multiple passing options and numerical advantages. The result was tiki-taka, a term Guardiola himself disliked, which emphasized short, rapid passing, aggressive pressing, and complete territorial dominance. Between May 2008 and September 2013, Barcelona went an astonishing 317 competitive games without losing the possession battle. Guardiola's Barcelona operated on a principle of controlled aggression. They didn't just want the ball, they suffocated opponents with it. When they lost possession, Guardiola implemented the 6-second rule. His players had 6 seconds to win the ball back through intense pressure, or they would drop into a compact defensive shape. This high-intensity pressing, combined with their possession dominance, meant opponents often touched the ball only in brief, panicked moments before Barcelona swarmed them again. The tactical innovations were numerous and influential. Guardiola perfected the false nine, deploying Messi in a nominal striker position, but with freedom to drop deep, pulling center-backs out of position and creating space for overlapping midfielders like Xavi and Andres Iniesta. He used inverted fullbacks, particularly during his time at Bayern Munich and Manchester City, tucking defenders into midfield during possession to create numerical superiority in the center and facilitate build-up. At Manchester City, Guardiola introduced a revolutionary 3-2-4-1 formation in possession, with one center-back, often John Stones, pushing into midfield to create a back three, allowing fullbacks to push high and wide while maintaining defensive security. This innovation addressed one of the classic problems in football: how to commit players forward without being vulnerable to counterattacks. Guardiola's influence extends beyond formations to the very culture of football. He raised the bar for tactical preparation, with opponents now requiring specific game plans just to survive against teams playing Guardiola-style football. Managers like Jurgen Klopp, Pochettino, and Julian Nagelsmann have all acknowledged his influence on their thinking. His insistence on technical excellence, spatial awareness, and positional discipline has become the gold standard in modern football, taught in academies worldwide. With more than 30 major trophies across Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Manchester City, Guardiola's tactical genius is matched only by his relentless drive for perfection, a manager who sees football not just as a game, but as an art form to be endlessly refined.
Guardiola is football's greatest idealist. Jose Mourinho is its supreme pragmatist, a manager who proved that tactical discipline, psychological warfare, and ruthless efficiency could triumph over even the most beautiful attacking football. When Mourinho announced himself as the special one upon arriving at Chelsea in 2004, it seemed arrogance. In retrospect, it was simply accurate. Over 2 decades at the highest level, Mourinho has won league titles in 4 different countries, conquered the Champions League with 2 different clubs, and fundamentally changed how football thinks about defensive organization and counter-attacking play. Mourinho's tactical revolution centered on what he called the 4 moments of the game: defensive organization, defensive transition, and offensive transition. While other managers focused primarily on what their team did with the ball, Mourinho understood that controlling transitions, those crucial seconds when possession changes hands, often decided matches. His teams were coached to defend in a compact, organized block, denying space in central areas and forcing opponents wide where they could be trapped and dispossessed. Then, in an instant, they would explode forward with devastating counterattacks, catching opponents disorganized and vulnerable.
The tactical innovation Mourinho brought to England with his first Chelsea team was revolutionary. In the 2004-2005 season, Chelsea conceded just 15 goals in 38 Premier League games, a record that still stands. This wasn't achieved through negative football, but through meticulous organization and tactical discipline. Mourinho employed a 4-3-3 system with a midfield triangle anchored by Claude Makélélé, whose defensive screening allowed Frank Lampard freedom to attack from midfield. The fullbacks provided width, while the wingers, notably Arjen Robben and Damien Duff, cut inside to create overloads in dangerous areas. This combination of defensive solidity and rapid, incisive attacking became known as parking the bus, though this term oversimplifies Mourinho's tactical sophistication. His Inter Milan team that won the Champions League in 2010 provided perhaps his greatest tactical masterpiece. In the semi-final against Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, Inter absorbed enormous pressure through compact defensive organization, with every player knowing exactly their responsibilities. Mourinho used a 4-2-3-1 formation that could quickly shift to a 4-4-1-1 or even 4-5-1 when defending, creating a defensive block so organized that Barcelona, despite dominating possession, struggled to create clear chances. When Inter won the ball, rapid transitions featuring Diego Milito, Wesley Sneijder, and Samuel Eto'o punished Barcelona on the counterattack. During his time at Real Madrid from 2010 to 2013, Mourinho adapted his approach to suit a team of global superstars. His Real Madrid side scored a record-breaking 121 goals in the 2011-2012 La Liga season, demonstrating that Mourinho's methods could produce devastating attacking football when he had the players to execute it. The counterattacks featuring Cristiano Ronaldo, Ángel Di María, and Mesut Ozil remain some of the fastest and most clinical in football history. What made Mourinho revolutionary wasn't just his tactical acumen, but his psychological mastery. He understood that football is as much a mental battle as a physical one, using press conferences and mind games to protect his players, unsettle opponents, and control narratives. His ability to create an us-against-the-world mentality within his squads generated extraordinary team spirit and resilience. While his confrontational style has sometimes overshadowed his tactical brilliance, Mourinho's influence on modern football is undeniable. He proved that reactive football, when executed with intelligence and precision, could compete with and defeat the most proactive attacking philosophies. His legacy lives in every well-organized defensive block, every devastating counterattack, and every manager who understands that controlling space is as important as controlling the ball. No manager in football history has sustained excellence longer than Sir Alex Ferguson. Over 26 years at Manchester United, from 1986 to 2013, Ferguson won 38 trophies, including 13 Premier League titles and 2 Champions League crowns, transforming a sleeping giant into the dominant force of English football and one of the world's most valuable sporting institutions. What made Ferguson revolutionary wasn't a single tactical innovation, but his extraordinary ability to adapt, evolve, and rebuild multiple championship-winning teams across different eras of football, each with distinct playing styles suited to their time. Ferguson's tactical philosophy was built on what his assistant, René Melenstein, called the 4 Ps: pace, power, penetration, and unpredictability. Unlike managers wedded to a specific system, Ferguson was gloriously flexible, changing formations and approaches based on his players' strengths and opponents' weaknesses. His teams could play direct, counter-attacking football one week and control possession the next. They could deploy a traditional 4-4-2, a fluid 4-3-3, or an asymmetric 4-2-3-1, always maximizing the talents at his disposal while maintaining the aggressive, attacking spirit that became United's hallmark.
The first great Ferguson team emerged in the early 1990s, built around Eric Cantona's genius. Cantona, signed in November 1992, played as a second striker in a 4-4-2 or sometimes 4-4-1-1, dropping deep to link play and create space for others. This team ended United's 26-year league title drought and established Ferguson's tactical principles: defensive solidity, aggressive pressing, rapid transitions, and giving creative players freedom to express themselves. Ferguson's emphasis on width through traditional wingers like Ryan Giggs and attacking fullbacks became a United trademark, stretching defenses and creating space for central players. The second great Ferguson team, the legendary class of 1999, featured David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, and Nicky Butt, all products of United's youth academy. This team achieved the unprecedented treble in 1999, Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League, playing a flexible 4-4-2 that could morph into different shapes within matches. Ferguson's youth development philosophy proved revolutionary. While other clubs spent fortunes on ready-made stars, he built dynasties from within, creating a core of players who understood United's culture and demands from their teenage years. Ferguson's third and perhaps greatest team emerged in the mid-2000s, built around Cristiano Ronaldo and incorporating a more European, possession-oriented approach. The 2007-08 side that won the Champions League operated in a fluid 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, with Ronaldo given complete freedom to drift from the left wing across the front line. This team combined defensive solidity anchored by Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic with devastating counterattacking power and technical quality. Ferguson's tactical innovations with this team included using a double pivot of Michael Carrick and Owen Hargreaves to provide defensive stability while giving Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and Carlos Tevez freedom to interchange positions and terrorize defenses with their pace and unpredictability. What truly made Ferguson revolutionary was his mastery of man management and psychological warfare. He built a culture of fear and respect where standards never dropped, egos were checked, and the team always came first. His famous hairdryer treatment, ferocious tirades delivered inches from players' faces, became legendary, as did his ability to protect his players publicly while demanding accountability privately. Ferguson understood that different players needed different approaches. Some needed encouragement, others confrontation. Some needed freedom, others structure. His ability to identify, motivate, and develop talent, from young prospects to established stars, was unmatched. Ferguson also revolutionized football management as a profession. His attention to detail extended beyond tactics to nutrition, sports science, psychology, and club infrastructure. He controlled every aspect of the club, from the youth academy to the medical department, creating a unified culture focused on winning. His famous statement, "Attack, attack, attack," wasn't just a tactical instruction, but a philosophical approach that prioritized entertainment alongside success, understanding that Manchester United's global brand required exciting football. Even Ferguson's later career adaptations demonstrated his revolutionary mindset. His legacy transcends tactics and trophies. He revolutionized football management itself, setting standards for leadership, adaptability, and sustained excellence that remain benchmarks against which all managers are measured. In an era defined by tactical obsessives and rigid systems, Carlo Ancelotti represents a revolutionary counterpoint, the manager who trusts his players to find solutions, who values balance over dogma, and who has won more Champions League titles than any other manager precisely because he doesn't impose strict tactical constraints. Carletto, as he's affectionately known, has won league titles in all of Europe's top 5 leagues and claimed a record 5 Champions League titles, 4 as manager, 1 as assistant. His revolutionary contribution isn't about inventing new formations or pioneering pressing systems. It's about demonstrating that tactical flexibility, emotional intelligence, and trust in elite players' decision-making can be just as effective as the most detailed tactical blueprints. Ancelotti's tactical philosophy centers on balance and adaptability. Throughout his career, he's primarily used a 4-3-3, but what makes his approach unique is the freedom he gives players within the structure. Rather than prescribing every movement and pattern, Ancelotti establishes a solid defensive foundation and then allows his attacking players creative license to express themselves. This approach has been particularly successful with teams of superstars, where imposing rigid systems might stifle individual brilliance. At Milan, Real Madrid, and other clubs, Ancelotti has shown an uncanny ability to get the best from elite talents by creating tactical frameworks that maximize their strengths while maintaining team balance. His AC Milan team that won the Champions League in 2003 and 2007 showcased this philosophy perfectly. The 2007 triumph, avenging the heartbreak of the 2005 final, featured a balanced 4-3-2-1 or 4-4 diamond formation, with André Pirlo operating as a deep-lying playmaker. Ancelotti's innovation was positioning Pirlo at the base of midfield rather than in a more advanced role, allowing him to dictate play from deep while Gennaro Gattuso provided defensive steel. This libero-style midfield role for creative players became influential, with many teams adopting similar structures. The team combined defensive solidity, marshaled by Paolo Maldini, with attacking flair from Kaká, who flourished in Ancelotti's system that gave him freedom to roam between the lines. What makes Ancelotti truly revolutionary is his emotional intelligence and man management. In an age where many managers are control freaks, Ancelotti trusts his players and creates a positive environment where they feel empowered rather than constrained. Jude Bellingham credited freedom as the main reason for his exceptional debut season at Real Madrid under Ancelotti. The manager identify and unlock players' best positions has been an Ancelotti trademark, from converting Vinicius Jr. into one of the world's most dangerous forwards to using Eduardo Camavinga as a fullback when injuries demanded creativity. Ancelotti's tactical approach at Real Madrid demonstrates his revolutionary adaptability. He employs a 4-3-3 that creates numerical superiority in central areas, allowing effective build-up play and midfield control. However, unlike rigid positional play systems, Ancelotti's team can seamlessly shift between formations during matches, from 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1 to 3-5-2, based on game situations. This tactical fluidity, combined with his willingness to adapt to opponents rather than imposing a single style, has been key to his success in knockout competitions. His Real Madrid teams have repeatedly defeated supposedly superior tactical systems through smart adjustments and clutch performances, proving that tactical flexibility can triumph over tactical dogma. Perhaps Ancelotti's most underrated innovation is his management of the modern superstar. In an era where player power is immense and egos can fracture dressing rooms, Ancelotti has mastered the art of managing elite personalities while maintaining authority and team unity. His calm demeanor, famous eyebrow raise, and refusal to engage in public controversies create stability and trust. Players respect him because he respects them, treating them as intelligent professionals capable of solving problems rather than pawns to be moved around a tactical board. With 10 trophies at Real Madrid alone and Champions League titles spanning from 2003 to 2024, Ancelotti's revolutionary legacy is one of sustained excellence through adaptability, emotional intelligence, and the radical idea that sometimes the best tactical plan is empowering brilliant players to play brilliant football.
The revolutionary impact of these 5 managers becomes clearer when examining the specific tactical innovations they introduced or perfected that now form the bedrock of modern football. Johan Cruyff's total football established that positional fluidity, when executed by technically gifted, intelligent players, could destroy traditional rigid defensive systems. His emphasis on compact team shape combined with individual freedom of movement created the template for modern pressing and possession football. Pep Guardiola took these principles and systematized them through positional play, creating a tactical framework where every player knows exactly which zones to occupy to maintain superiority in numbers and passing angles. His false 9 revolutionized the center-forward position, previously occupied by target men or poachers, by showing that a mobile playmaker in this role could destroy defensive organizations. His use of inverted fullbacks who tuck into midfield during possession has become standard at elite clubs, solving the eternal problem of maintaining defensive stability while committing numbers forward. Jose Mourinho's innovations in defensive organization and transition management changed how teams defend. His compact defensive blocks, zonal pressing with man orientations, and emphasis on the 4 moments of the game became coaching orthodoxy. Mourinho proved that ceding possession could be a valid tactical choice if you controlled space effectively and exploded on the counterattack. His Chelsea team's 15 goals conceded in 2004-05 remains a Premier League record and demonstrated that elite defending is as valuable as elite attacking. Alex Ferguson's revolution was more philosophical than tactical. He proved that sustained success requires constant evolution and adaptation. His ability to rebuild multiple championship teams, each with distinct playing styles, showed that tactical flexibility and willingness to evolve with the game are more important than loyalty to a single system. His emphasis on pace, width, and penetration through wingers influenced English football for decades, while his integration of youth development with first-team success created a sustainable model that clubs worldwide try to emulate. Carlo Ancelotti's revolution was recognizing that tactical rigidity isn't necessary for success with elite players. His balanced 4-3-3, emphasis on team chemistry over tactical complexity, and trust in players' decision-making ability proved that emotional intelligence and adaptability can be as effective as elaborate tactical schemes. His success across different leagues and different playing philosophies, from Italian defensive solidity to Spanish possession football to English physicality, demonstrates the universal applicability of his approach. These innovations didn't just change how football is played, they changed how it's coached, analyzed, and understood, creating the tactical arms race that defines modern elite football.